Good morning, family. I hope everybody is well on this Friday. You know me, I'm always gonna come and talk about things that, are valuable, well, not valuable, but are very close to me. And, this isn't for anybody specific, but if you identify with it, that's great. And I hope I can help you in some way, shape, or form. But today I'm talking about beauty and the standards of beauty, and sharing a little bit about my story. I was raised in a home that was, I don't want to say multicultural, but my grandmother was a Caucasian woman, so my mom was mixed, but both of my parents were predominantly black. And in our community it's very harsh. Black women go through kind of a lot, I think, in terms of how we feel about ourselves, and what we think about ourselves. And I'm not, like I said, when I speak, my words are only my testimony. I don't speak for every woman on this earth. I'm speaking strictly for me. And like I said, if my story elevates or helps another woman, then I've done my job. And if it's not, then it don't mean nothing to you, that's fine too. But what my message is basically like, beauty is nice, it is nice to feel beautiful. But the problem comes when we start to compare ourselves to other people, and then as a result start to think that our beauty is not as good, or it diminishes because I don't look the same, or I don't have these attributes. And in our society there are a societal standard of beauty, and this is a very touchy subject, so I don't want to get too deep, but again, in the African American community, we've been kind of brainwashed into thinking that the lighter the better, the more fine your hair is the better, if you have light eyes the better you are, and we really as a culture have been pre-exposed to hating ourselves early if we don't look a certain way. And if I'm gonna be real honest and personal, I come from a family where it was kind of also glorified to be, to look different, not different, but to look half Caucasian. I noticed that people in my family really glorify women that had lighter skin, that had a finer texture of hair, and they were, oh, she's so beautiful, she's so beautiful, she's so beautiful. And as a child growing up, I began to believe this, and so and if I'm being honest, I began to feel superior over some women, because I was like, okay, well, I'm light and I have this kind of hair, and so I'm the cream of the crop, But then also, because I began to believe that the more, I guess, exotic you looked, or half white you looked, you were better. So then, if I seen women that had more of that, I began to believe they were better than me, and my confidence would shrink. And the real problem is, and in my case, is when you kind of set your identity on your beauty and think that that's what's going to drive you through life. And I believed that for a long time. Even I recently just stopped. But what I want to share to everybody is that beauty is not in the eyes of man. It really isn't. You are beautiful because God created you. Everything that God created on this earth is beauty. It's amazing. It's immaculate because it's perfected by the King of Kings, and he didn't make anything ugly and terrible. And if he did, if that's the case, it's to grow you and show you something on your life journey that you need to know and see. And I think that honestly, when we all pass and go to heaven, hopefully, I think that what we believe beauty was to be on this earth is going to be completely different. And all of it really is, to me, a trap. to get you in your egoic mind and start separating you from unity, you know. And again, this was a really touchy subject for me, at least, you know. And as I got older and older, it got affirmed and more affirmed. And then when you look at men, and you know, unfortunately, men are very easy to go with, like, oh, you know, the bigger your butt, the bigger your boobs, the smaller your waist, the longer your hair, you know, whatever, you know, if you got the Instagram model look, you know, this is what beauty is. And then just think about everybody on this earth that doesn't fit those confines. Think of everybody who has something that's not like that, that now feel insecure and don't like themselves. And for me, it got really dark because I, again, set my identity on it. And let me also warn you, mothers, fathers out there who have daughters, and boys too, I'm not going to exclude. I think it'd be very valuable to, if you're going to tell your daughters that you're beautiful, always follow it up with, but you're smart and you're strong. Like, I always tell my daughters that I will never just leave it at you're beautiful, because that's all I heard growing up. You're beautiful, you're beautiful, you're beautiful, you're beautiful. And then that's all I thought I had. So then when other women came around that were beauty, because there's going to be a lot of beautiful women out here, let's be frank. Honestly, everyone is beautiful, but there's women out here that really meet the, like, oh, this societal standards. And so if that's all you're going off of, you're going to be really hurt a lot in your life, because you're going to constantly compare yourself and compare yourself and compare yourself. And I compared myself until I was sick, and my whole life was falling apart, because all I thought about was that my looks were going to get me a man. My looks will keep me, you know, safe. You know, if you're pretty and you have all these things, then men are going to flock to you, and you're safe and you're good. Especially when your mentality is just to get a man. And in some cases, some of us are raised that way, you know. And so I speak on these subjects because they're real. And to some people, this might be the stupidest crap you ever heard, and that's fine. But in my life, it was a real detrimental point for me. And I'm so glad I'm at this place where I finally understand, like, what that was all about. So without rambling too much, and I'm sorry, I know I'm not always cohesive when I speak, but, you know, it says in the Bible is the truth, the light, and the way. So this is facts. And I'm not saying it by verbatim, because I don't ever say I know scripture by heart, but it says the verse along the lines that beauty is, you know, fleeting. In other words, beauty will diminish. As you age, your beauty is going to evolve into something different. It doesn't go away, because when you're beautiful, like everyone is, beauty is going to stay with you. But the physical part will change. So beauty is fleeting. But a woman who serves the Lord, okay, is forever praised. So, you know, if you out here and you thinking like, oh, I look good, you know, I'm not telling you not to think you look good. Everybody should feel good about themselves. That's everyone should have that right. But if you're using it or weaponizing your beauty to get what you want, if you're using your beauty to think that you're above others, if you're using your beauty as a transactional a thing that you use to kind of like maneuver and manipulate, I just want you to understand that you're going the wrong way. Everyone is beautiful. Beauty was made, and being handsome was made for attraction purposes, so you can meet your mate and procreate, hopefully. But beauty was not meant to confine us, to compartmentalize us in certain categories and tiers. It wasn't made for us to like compare ourselves and hate on other people. You know, I want to get to a place or a community where everyone loves on each other. Every woman is viewed as beautiful, and we all respect everybody for their uniqueness and their differentness. And you know, growing up, I was told a lot of things, and I'm sure you see on my videos, like, I have a very different look. Some days I come on here and I probably look like, whoa, that girl looks rough. And that's okay. And some days I come on here and I'm more made up. And some people might say, ooh, you know. But what I want to tell you is that value of who you are never changes. It's constant. You were valuable and had worth and had the ability to attract and get what you want in this world when you were in your mother's womb being created. That's the part. Your beauty and your worth was always there. It just takes some of us longer to understand that. And I just share this because I want to help brothers and sisters along the way who are struggling with their looks, who don't feel seen, who don't feel like they fit in and feel ugly. That's not true. Nobody on this earth is ugly. You just haven't reached a conscious level to understand what real beauty is. It's not how big your butt is. It's not how handsome your face is and how you dress and look when you hit, that's all nice. But it's not the source. If you want to get a person in your life to stay, it's not going to be based on your looks. And if it is, you're going to find out that it's very superficial. You get in what you put out in relationships, or you get what you put out in relationships. If you're basing your choices in men on how they look and how they dress, I did that. I'm not downing you. I did that. But let me tell you something. It didn't get me nowhere. Okay? Nowhere. So I say all this to say that yes, it is wonderful to feel good about yourself, but everyone has that right. And I don't think it's anybody's job to tell somebody you're not good enough because you don't look good. But let's be real. In this culture, in this community, that's all it's about. Is being on the gram and looking real cute and selfie this and look at me and and I'm telling you, it will make some people feel really left out and hurt, and that's the people I'm sympathizing for, because I used to be like that. And I just recently got freed because I really had to pray about it. And when you pray for a mate or a partner, don't think about the superficial. Thank God. Please give me, the beauty that is deep within, that will keep my partner interested in me for years. Make my beauty a legacy in my partner's eyes, or the man you have for me. Okay? God, give me the ability to be able to please my partner in a way that he or she doesn't need to stray. These are things you can ask for in God. I've done it. And I'm gonna be honest, I don't have a lot of things going on for me in terms of success and money, and like I said, I'm 40 at this point. I have children and I'm still single. But I will say, since I've made the changes and started really understanding who I am and what my worth is, my relationships are a lot stronger with the opposite sex, because now I'm not on that silly superficial stuff. And, I'm getting a lot of love and appreciation, and I'm not really doing much, but just waking up, serving and loving my Father above, and everything else is easier. I wanted to mention something else, but I kind of lost my train of thought. But yeah, bottom line is, I just want people to know that it is nice to look good and feel good. And you can do that with just being hygienic, with just, knowing how to accentuate your looks and your style, and just letting those things be secondary to what's already there. You are enough just as you are in your most basic plain form. You have more worth and value than you could ever know. Everything else you're doing in this life is just a cherry on top. I just don't want women to get lost in the facade that if I don't look a certain way, I can't have. Untrue. Untrue. Really, it's in being a good woman, a good person, being, understanding that you are nothing without God. And when you start walking in this light, everything else is just going to come to you, because now you're on a higher frequency. You know what I mean? So I hope that made sense for some of y'all. Like I said, I talk when I feel led to share things. And I just hope that I can reach somebody out there that really feels like they don't feel like they are enough as they are. I'm here to tell you that you always been enough. It's just taking you longer to see it. All right, everybody. I hope you have a wonderful Friday and a blessed and wonderful weekend. Take care.